A man laughed in my face when I asked if a simple ceiling fan installation would cost around $200. He told me it would be over $700. I said no thank you, and I apologized for wasting his time. 5 minutes later, there was a knock at my door. It was his own electrician, the same guy who'd just been standing in my hallway, and he had an offer that was about to save me $500 and cost that company every future job I would have ever given them. This is the story of how one company's greed handed their own paycheck to a stranger on a Tuesday afternoon, that if you've ever been quoted a price so absurd you had to double-check you heard it right. If you've ever watched a company get exactly what it deserved because it couldn't stop being greedy, you're going to love this one. Hit that like button, subscribe if you're new here, and stick around, because this revenge didn't even require a plan. It just required one company forgetting that the person doing the actual work is a human being too. Let me set the scene for you, because this story starts about as mundane as it gets. No cheating spouse, no betrayal at a wedding, just two ceiling fans. Our protagonist, we'll call him Dave, though his name isn't given in the original story, had moved into a new house about a year earlier. Nice place, new chapter of life. But like a lot of houses, it had that one flaw you don't notice until the seasons change. The upstairs guest room and the home office turned into ovens every time the sun hit them wrong. No airflow, no breeze, just stagnant, sticky heat that made those two rooms borderline unusable in the warmer months. The fix was obvious. Ceiling fans, preferably the kind with a light built in, so you get two problems solved for the price of one fixture. Dave did his homework. He didn't just grab the first ugly beige fan off the shelf. He actually shopped around, compared styles, found two he liked that would fit the rooms. And here's the thing about Dave. He's not helpless. He's installed fans before, in a previous home. He knows the drill. He knows exactly how unpleasant that job is. Picture it with me for a second. You're standing at the top of a ladder, your neck cranked back at an angle that's going to have you popping ibuprofen for 2 days afterward. The light in the room is bad because, ironically, you're installing the light fixture that would fix the bad lighting. You've got one hand holding 40 pounds of ceiling fan above your head, and the other hand trying to twist together wire nuts with the precision of a surgeon, except a surgeon doesn't have gravity actively trying to drop a fan on their face. Dave had done this dance before, and he decided, smartly, reasonably, that this time, he'd rather pay someone else to deal with it. That's not laziness. That's just knowing the value of your own neck and free time. Finding help. So he does what any of us would do. He opens up Google, searches for electricians in his area, and finds a company with decent visibility. The kind of company that shows up fast in search results and promises quick service. Next day availability. Free estimate. Install on the spot if you say yes. Sounds great, right? This is the part of the story where everything still feels normal. No red flags yet. Just a guy trying to get two fans put in before the summer heat really settles in. The appointment day comes. The electrician shows up on time. No complaints there. Punctuality matters, and he gets credit for it. He walks through the house with Dave, looks at the two rooms, looks at the fans Dave had already purchased and had sitting there ready to go. He even pops open the electrical panel to check for anything unusual with the wiring. Thorough, professional. Everything about this interaction, so far, is exactly what you'd want from a service call. And then comes the number. The moment everything turns. Dave asks the question anyone would ask. A reasonable, grounded question based on what fan installations have cost him in the past. Will this run around $200? Now imagine the sensation of watching someone's face shift. Not into anger, into amusement. The electrician actually laughs. Not maliciously, but in that way that stings almost worse, the kind of laugh that says, "Oh, sweet summer child, you have no idea." More like $700, he says. Sit with that number for a second. $700. Not $700 for two fans, including the units themselves. Dave had already bought the fans. This was $700 purely for labor. For two ceiling fan installations that Dave himself had done before, alone, on a ladder, in under an hour each. There's a specific kind of gut punch that comes with a quote like that. It's not just the number, it's the whiff of being taken advantage of. It's the silent question that creeps into your head. Do they think I don't know what this job actually involves? Do they think I won't push back? But Dave doesn't blow up. He doesn't argue. He doesn't demand a manager. He just says, plainly, that's too much. He explains his reasoning. He'd have considered that price if it included the fans themselves, but not for labor alone. And then, in a detail that says a lot about who Dave is as a person, he apologizes. Twice. He apologizes to the electrician for wasting his time, wishes him a good day, and lets him go. No shouting match. No scene. Just a calm, firm no, and an apology that, frankly, he didn't even owe. The knock. The electrician leaves. Dave assumes that's the end of it. Fans are still sitting in their boxes. The heat problem is still unsolved, and he's mentally back to square one. Maybe he'll rent a better ladder. Maybe he'll just tough it out and do it himself again. And then, a few minutes later, there's a knock at the door. Dave says he knew immediately what it was about. That gut instinct. The second you hear that knock, something in your chest tightens, because you already sense this isn't a random visitor. He opens the door, and there's the electrician. Same guy, still in his work clothes. But something's different about his posture now. He's not here representing the company anymore. He's here as himself. He tells Dave plainly, they do side work all the time. Let that sink in for a moment. Because this is the detail that turns an ordinary customer service letdown into something far more satisfying. The same skilled hands that would have installed those fans for $700 under the company's name were now available. Off the books, on his own time, for a fraction of the price. Dave asks how much. The answer, $200. For both fans. $200. The exact number Dave had asked about in the first place. The number the company had laughed at. They set a time. The electrician comes back, probably, Dave notes, on what should have been his day off, and gets both fans installed in under 2 hours. Clean work. Professional work. The same competence the company had tried to charge triple plus for. Dave pays him in cash. They shake hands. And that's that. 2 rooms in the house are finally going to be livable again, and Dave saved himself over $500 in the process. You'd think that's the end of the story. A quiet little win. But it's not, because a few days later, Dave's phone buzzes. It's the company, not a person. An automated text, spit out by whatever customer relationship software they use, cheerfully asking Dave to leave a Google review. Now, here's where you have to appreciate the sheer tone deafness of automated systems. This text has no idea that Dave declined service. It has no idea that the man he hired is now the same man who did the job for $200 in cash, off the clock. All it knows is, job completed, request review. Dave could have ignored it. Most people would have. But Dave, apparently, was not about to let that opportunity pass by. He texts back and tells them plainly, he refused their service, so there's no review to leave. But, and you can almost hear the dry humor in this, if they insisted, he'd be happy to leave one describing how they tried to charge him an outrageous fee, and he turned them down. The company, to their credit or their detriment depending on how you look at it, doesn't just drop it. They text back defending their pricing. Standing on principle. Digging in. And this is the moment Dave delivers the line that makes this whole story worth telling. He doesn't argue about the pricing philosophy. He doesn't get into a back and forth about overhead and licensing costs. He simply tells them he's confident he can find a qualified electrician, licensed, bonded, insured, to do the work for far less. He doesn't even need to tell them who. He already knows. It was their guy. The same one they sent. The same one who'd just been standing in his hallway a few days earlier. They never find out. That's the quiet, delicious detail buried at the end of this story. The company has no idea they lost this job. And more importantly, every future electrical job Dave will ever need in that house, because they tried to price a simple fixture install like it was a middle-of-the-night emergency call. Somewhere out there, that company is still sending automated review requests to customers, still quoting $700 labor fees for 2-hour jobs, completely unaware that their own employee is quietly doing better, more honest business on the side, one satisfied customer at a time. And Dave's sitting in a house with 2 fully functional ceiling fans, in rooms that no longer feel like a sauna, having paid a fair price to a fair worker, and having gotten the very last word with the company that tried to squeeze him. No shouting, no lawsuit, no dramatic confrontation, just a calm, simple truth delivered in a text message. Greed prices itself out of the job. There's something deeply satisfying about a story where nobody has to scream to win. Dave didn't sabotage anyone. He didn't lie. He just said no to an unfair price, stay polite about it, and let the situation unfold naturally. And the universe, or in this case, one honest electrician looking to make some extra cash, did the rest. Sometimes the most satisfying justice isn't loud. It's just a company slowly realizing, review request by unanswered review request, that greed doesn't just cost you one customer. It costs you every customer that person ever talks to. If this story gave you that little jolt of satisfaction, go ahead and smash that like button. It genuinely helps this channel grow. And I want to hear from you in the comments. Have you ever been quoted a price so ridiculous you just walked away, and it worked out even better for you in the end? Drop your story below. And if you enjoyed this one, subscribe, because there are plenty more stories just like it coming your way.